Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. I am the Scottish Jedi, and welcome to the video. As you can tell, this is going to be the review of Season 1, where I'm going to talk about my thoughts on some of the characters and the episodes as a whole. Looking at their growth, what's happened, and hopefully what I would like to see in the next season to come. So overall, I did enjoy the series. It was exciting, funny, and it showed off an interesting cast that gave us a brand new look into how the Imperials thought and acted after the Clone Wars had finished. Around 15 years to be exact, after the Clone Wars had ended. The season as a whole had its ups and downs, but mainly there wasn't in my impression, there wasn't a completely bad episode. All of them were well written, but you did have the odd Disney episode. Such as like the one with Zeb and Ezra having to go out to work as a team to basically get their act together. I felt that was very of the Disney vibe, and it wasn't, to me, one of the better episodes. The ones like Path of the Jedi, or the ones where the Inquisitor finally appeared and stuff like that, that felt more like a Star Wars episode rather than Disney. But even with the Disney episodes, it was pretty good. Now, the Disney episodes, they stopped very quickly. They didn't keep going after like 2 or 3 episodes in. But they did give moral lessons throughout the series, like, well, you'd expect Disney to do. But as the series went on, these moral lessons became a lot more subtle. And it wasn't as if Disney was bashing you on the Mickey Mouse hammer saying, "This is what your moral lesson is, learn it, kids!" Which was good. But the episodes were exciting, interesting. You got to see the cast bonding frequently. Like, Zeb at the very start hated Ezra, and then they became close as the series went on. But that brings me on to the characters and their growth. With our main heroes, you saw it in the first episode. I made a joke about Ezra being basically a Star Wars equivalent to Aladdin. And in all essences, he was. He was an equivalent to Aladdin, or the main protagonist from Treasure Planet. He was reckless, he was a scoundrel, he was basically a cocky little prat that needed a good kick. And joining up with Kanan and his crew, he did get that kick. That and several bruises from attacking Imperials. But anyway, he'd grown up in the series very quickly. He'd grown up from being that street rat through his bond with Kanan to becoming more responsible. He started to think more about other people. Not so much about how they thought about him, but how they felt as a whole. Like, he wanted them to be happier. He wanted them to be respected by the people that are meant to be protecting them. The Empire treated them like dogs, and frankly, Kanan and the rest showed Ezra that wasn't good enough anymore. They showed him that they could fight. And as he went through his training, he learned, he adapted. He still kept his old self, but he was responsible-ish. No, not really. More responsible than he was. He basically started to become more of the Jedi that Kanan wanted him to be. Whereas with Kanan, he is slowly turning back into the Jedi that he once was. At the start of the series, you see that he's hesitant to use a lightsaber when he's fighting Callus and all that at the very start. He just says to Zeb, yeah, everyone's now going to know the secret. Which kind of entails he's been hiding this lightsaber for years. And in the comics and the book prior to this, he had learned, do not go for the lightsaber, go for the blaster. Whereas now, as you can see throughout the series, he's more going for the lightsaber than he is the blaster. and in that final fight, he was adapting the two. He'd grown up from being a Jedi at the start to becoming something of a smuggler Jedi, which is what the producers were after. But as he was training Ezra, he started to understand what his own master had been trying to do with him. And he'd grown from that to becoming more of a knight than he was a Padawan. So at the minute, he's kind of like what Obi-Wan would have possibly been starting out as when he first got Anakin as his apprentice. Very nervous, very unsure of himself. But as time goes on, he gets a bit more confident in his own abilities, and he's actually training himself to be a better master to Ezra, so that he didn't end up like him at the end of the Clone Wars. But with the main hero cast, Kanan and Ezra are the only ones that have any significant growth that I could see. With Sabine, you got more backstory. You got to learn that she was an Imperial. You get this overshadowing idea, well, foreshadowing actually, my bad, that she had done something bad in the past because she was the good soldier. She followed the orders. And that order had obviously been something terrible, which made her regret her entire decision to join the Empire. So, which led her to join Hera and the crew. I kind of want to see what that is. Like, have a flashback episode just surrounding Sabine later on in the next season. That way we can see what it was that got her to join the Rebels. With Hera, she's not really grown that much, apart from learning the mission doesn't always have to come first. You have to protect your family. Yeah, you can do your mission, but if you don't have your team supporting you, you're going to fail your mission anyway. So she'd grown into more of a mothering role, even though she already was in one. And finally with Zeb, he was the big brute that would just punch everything, including Ezra. But after the first episode, he was trying to be a bit nicer, and in the first couple of episodes it was forced he was trying to be nice, because he did have that guilt pain going through his mind, going, oh crap, I left the kid behind, he's going to hold this over my head for the rest of my life. And then Ezra found something else to hold over him, which was saving his life, which led into the Disney episode. But him and Ezra had grown more to be like brothers as the series went on. They would protect one another, and they would joke, and they would fight. But with my own brother and my friends, it's what we do. We grow into that bit where we can fight, and we'll get over it. And we're just going to keep doing it over and over again. It's quite funny. But with that... Oh, and Chopper, I almost forgot about him. He's still the grumbling little droid that just grumbles all the time. He's funny, but I'm thinking he's one of those characters which is deliberately bleeped out, because if he wasn't an astromech droid, he would need bleeped out, because that would make the show not PG. About how he acts half the time. So, you don't really get much growth out of Chopper, because he's the droid out of the group, so not much need for growth. But, so, as good as any good team of heroes is, you need your villains. So, looking at the villains, the season started off with Dumb and Dumber. The two Imperial officer beefheads that were basically showing the audience, Empire bad, boo, hiss, these guys are dicks, assholes. Woohoo. They weren't interesting. They still weren't interesting. When they died, they weren't interesting. By the way, this review is full of spoilers. Well, not really. Well, yeah, it's full of spoilers. So if you didn't get that by me saying review, yeah, sorry. But with the two first Imperials, you see that they're not interesting. It's kind of like how with the Clone Wars series, you saw the clones given a face. They were given personalities. These two Imperial officers, they might as well have just been blank slates. here's a douche personality. Give it to one of them, or both of them in this case. And in the training episode where we saw the Empire's training methods for their students, where I'm still wondering where the hell their accuracy went after they went through the training program. When the academy was attacked, these two did nothing. So, I don't know whether those Imperial officers were incompetent or stupid, but I'm thinking it's a mixture of the pair of them, because they couldn't seem to do anything right. I mean, hell, when the academy was attacked, they should have actually gotten a walker and dealt with it themselves. Which is where our next villain comes in, Agent Callus. He is someone who's got a past, he's got this vicious streak to him, but he's also one that enjoys the ruthlessness of it and wants to keep order within the Empire. It's obvious that he wants to maintain the peace and stability by taking out these rebels. And he is going to do whatever it takes to get that done. Whether that's annoying the living hell out of them so they come and chase him, like he did with Zeb by bringing out his own electric staff, which Zeb was extremely agitated by. Because with Zeb's backstory, he was obviously in the Clone Wars. He's possibly the oldest one of that team. And whatever Callus had done, which was basically decimate Zeb's race, he knew how to push the rebellion's buttons, especially Zeb's. But with Callus, he made the team think. He made them have to coordinate their attacks a bit more carefully because Callus was on their case for the first couple of episodes, until we saw the Inquisitor, who, like Callus, kept the rebellion team on their toes, but he had forced Kanan and Ezra to grow. He had forced that Jedi aspect of the pair of them to develop and just get to the stage where at the end of the season, Kanan had basically went, okay, I'm not afraid of being a Jedi anymore, I am going to be what I need to be. The Force is stronger than my own instincts. He needed to trust his instincts, but he also needed to trust in the fact that the Force is there to help him, to guide him. The Inquisitor unfortunately made him see that, which made the Inquisitor lose it. Because Kanan had grown into the Jedi he was meant to be, before the Clone Wars had decimated the Jedi. So, even with the Inquisitor, you saw that bit of growth where he was getting agitated that he couldn't catch these Jedi. He was trained specifically to catch or kill Jedi, and he was failing miserably every time. Whether to monsters being sent at him, or just incompetence from the Imperial officers, or just the rebellion's getting the upper hand of him somehow, which wasn't actually that often. He pushed the rebellion back frequently. They actually were on the back foot majority of the time he was against them, which you want in a villain. They don't always have to have the rebels win, but he kept them on their toes and kept them going, oh crap, this guy's going to kill me. Which, at the end of the Inquisitor's story, you see that in the Inquisitor's eyes as well. He sees Kanan going to kill him, and in his eyes is like, no, I'm not letting this Jedi get me. For one thing, if he lets me live, Vader's gonna kill me. If I let him kill me, I just let a Jedi that I've been hunting down for ages kill me. That's kind of annoying. So he offs himself. Again, this was spoilers. I'm going to put a description in the bottom saying spoilers. But yeah, that was the characters, like the main ones that we saw frequently throughout the story. Now, what we did get was a lot of cameos, which was quite fun. You got C-3PO and R2-D2 turning up in the first episode after the pilot, which was brilliant. You got frequent mention of the Clone Wars through props, other Jedi names, like Luminara, and hell, one of the bars that they attend frequently has frickin' LAAT frickin' cockpit on the front door. That is awesome. And then you see the rebellion, the clone base, when Hera and Sabine go to pick up supplies. It's nice to see that the Clone Wars is going to be mentioned, and it's still fresh in everyone's minds. It's not something that just went away with the Galactic Empire. It was a big event, and it's going to be mentioned throughout the entire thing. Which is where we then get our next two cameos of Ahsoka and Vader. Those two will meet head to head soon enough. My thing is, Anakin is going to notice Ahsoka instantly. But I'm wondering, will Ahsoka notice Anakin immediately? Because of how he's changed, how he's got more vicious, more cruel, more dark side, basically. But anyhow, with that bit of rambling about cameos, characters, and how I enjoyed the story, my main thoughts about what I would like to see in the future would be, like I said earlier, more backstory on some of the other characters, see more growth in the rest of the crew, not just Kanan and Ezra. What I'd love to see is Starkiller from the Force Unleashed games. I'd love to see something of him come back, like either mentioning Juno Eclipse or Ram Kota from the game series, because the series had left it open for interpretation whether or not Starkiller was still in this story, because the voice actor for Starkiller, he's voicing the Emperor. That's freaking badass. But I would love to see a bit more about the Inquisition. From the trailers we've seen from Rebels Season 2, we're getting 2 new Inquisitors. So I'm kind of wondering, where are all these Inquisitors coming from? Obvious answers would be Jedi Padawans turned dark side after the Clone Wars, or younglings taken from homes, or even if Skywalker left survivors at the temple, they were taken away to become Inquisitors. I would love to see a bit more about that, like the Inquisitors' training and everything else. See what it was that actually got them to there. But anyway, that's enough of my rambling. I would like to point out, coming up at the very end of September, I am going back to college for my very final year, so I probably won't have videos out on a daily basis like I've been doing. They will be stagnated, they will be slower coming out, possibly once every 2 days or something like that. Or if lucky, I'll get a lot of episodes done in bulk, and I'll do it then. But I'm just letting you know in advance, don't expect videos instantly too often, because I will need to put my head down and get on with my work, because I really need a good pass. As people who go to college understand, I need to pass. So, with that and my initial ramblings done, thank you for listening. Hope you keep watching, and see you later. Scottish Jedi, out.